That just happened on a real stage in front of real people. Nobody fell, nobody stumbled, nobody grabbed a wall. He just leaned and came back like gravity forgot his name for a second.
Part 1. Gravity forgot his name for a second.
Someone should have fallen.
And yet, dramatically, beautifully, impossibly, nobody did.
Which is what I intend to explain.
And I intend to make that explanation interesting.
Welcome. Tonight, we are investigating a moment so physically wrong, so visually catastrophic to the human brain, that millions of people watched it and quietly decided the rules of reality no longer applied. The force in question? Gravity. The oldest force, the most consistent force, the force with a perfect record against humanity. And tonight, that record is under review. I'm Verdicto. Tonight's case, the universe versus Michael Jackson. The charge? Making 45 degrees look effortless. The crime scene? Bucharest, Romania. The year? 1992. The evidence? One impossible lean that still breaks brains decades later. Let's begin.
I want to begin with the body, specifically the physics of the body, because everything starts there.
Everything with you starts with physics.
Everything with everyone starts with physics. They just don't know it yet.
Einstein, the body.
The human body has a center of mass. Think of it as your body's invisible balance point, the one spot where, if you could balance yourself on a single finger, you wouldn't tip over. For most adult males, that point sits roughly at the level of the belly button. Here is the rule, and this is not a guideline, this is not a recommendation, this is physics. The moment your center of mass moves beyond your base of support, which is the area defined by your feet on the ground, you fall. No exceptions. No appeals, no second chances. You fall forward, you fall sideways, you fall hard. That's the deal. Michael Jackson leaned forward at 45 degrees. His center of mass crossed the line. Every model I've run, every equation I've loved, every calculation that has ever meant anything to me says he hits that stage floor, face first, in Bucharest, in front of 90,000 people. My math says he falls.
Your math missed the shoe.
Part 2. The shoe that broke the brain.
My math did not miss the shoe. I was building to the shoe dramatically.
Oh, Einstein does drama now. Things are changing in this courtroom.
The shoe, Einstein, please.
In 1992, Michael Jackson held U.S. patent number 5255452. He filed it himself. The patent describes a shoe with a specially designed slot, a small triangular notch, cut into the heel. The stage had a retractable peg system built directly into the floor. Before the lean, that peg locked into the heel of the shoe. His heel was physically anchored to the stage. So when his body traveled forward, when his center of mass crossed the line, gravity pulled and the anchor held. The force transferred through his leg, into his heel, into the peg, into the floor. Balance maintained, physics perfectly intact. The lean is not magic. It is not a miracle. It is mechanical engineering dressed in a white suit with a hat.
He literally filed federal paperwork to trick gravity.
Part 3. The moment physics lost the room.
He filed federal paperwork to work within the rules of gravity, using a load-bearing mechanism.
That is the driest sentence in the history of the most exciting moment in live performance history.
Accuracy is not dry. Accuracy is precise.
Precision is dry by definition, Einstein.
Defense? Blaney, your turn. And please, make it interesting.
So here is the thing that I cannot stop thinking about. Einstein just gave you the full explanation. The shoe, the peg, the patent, the center of mass, the transferred force. Some of you heard that and thought, okay, yeah, that tracks. That makes sense. And then I want you to go back and watch that clip again. And I want you to notice your brain still freaks out. Even knowing the explanation, something in you still reacts to it. Your brain still fires off an alarm. And that is what I'm here to talk about. Because the physics explains how he stayed up. It does not explain why 90,000 people in Romania experienced something that felt like watching the laws of the universe get suspended live on stage. Those are two completely different questions. Einstein answered the first one beautifully. I'm here for the second one.
The second one is just the first one with more feelings attached.
The second one is why any of this matters at all.
Doc.
Your brain is not a camera. It is not recording the world passively and playing it back. Your brain is a prediction machine. It is constantly running a simulation. If this happens, then that happens next. Object near a table edge? Brain already knows it's going to the floor before it gets there. Person leans past the balance threshold? Brain already has the fall mapped out, timed, and filed before the body actually moves. The simulation runs every second of every day. And the reason you can function in the world is because the simulation is almost always correct. So when Michael Jackson's body crossed 45 degrees and the simulation said fall, and then the fall didn't come, the simulation didn't just update quietly, it crashed hard. And when that crash happens, your brain does not sit with it calmly. Pupils dilate, heart rate spikes. The threat detection system activates because something happened that the model said was impossible. And riding right behind that, dopamine, a flood of it. Because the brain also rewards itself for witnessing something it cannot explain. What you feel in that moment, that electric, skin-tingling, full-body, wait, what just happened feeling? That is your entire predictive system going offline at once. And Michael Jackson aimed that experience at 90,000 people simultaneously.
It was a shoe.
It was a weapon.
Einstein, the ankle. You mentioned training injuries. Talk about that.
Yes, and this is where I will give the performance its full credit, because the science demands it. The peg and the slot explain the hold, the static peak of the lean, that frozen 45-degree image that every human with an internet connection has seen burned into their brain. What the peg does not explain is the approach and the return, the controlled drop into the lean, smooth, effortless looking, perfectly timed, and the pull back up out of it. Those transitions are pure muscular output. Calves, Achilles tendon, ankle flexors, all working under significant eccentric load, meaning the muscles are lengthening while they're contracting, which is the hardest, most injury-prone type of muscle work there is. His dancers trained this move for weeks straight. Several of them were injured doing it. Michael Jackson performed it live, on tour, repeatedly. The mechanism makes the physics survivable. The body makes it look like nothing. Both have to work at the same time perfectly, every single time.
So the move looks effortless, and that's the other part of why it breaks the brain. Because not only does he not fall when he should fall, he looks bored about it. He looks like he's deciding not to fall the way you or I might decide not to grab a second slice of pizza. Casual, easy, like gravity's a minor inconvenience he's been dealing with all week. And that casual quality, that total absence of strain on his face, makes the brain even more confused. Because when humans do hard things, we show it. We grunt, we shake, we grimace. He showed nothing, which told your brain, this isn't hard. Which made the brain ask, then why can't I do this? Which is the question that makes a moment legendary.
Let me bring this together, because what we've got here is genuinely remarkable. Einstein says the physics held. Center of mass, load transfer, mechanical anchor, everything correct, everything legal, gravity still technically won. Brainy says the human brain experienced something that felt like gravity losing, which triggered awe, which is the closest thing to magic a live audience can collectively feel. And the extraordinary part, the part that makes this case so incredible and not just a fun trivia fact, is that Michael Jackson understood both things simultaneously. He understood the physics well enough to engineer a shoe and patent a peg system. And he understood human perception well enough to know that if he landed the mechanics perfectly, the audience's brain would fill in the rest with wonder. He didn't perform for the eyes. He performed for the prediction machine sitting behind the eyes.
The engineering was genuinely impressive.
Was that a compliment?
It was an accurate assessment.
From you, that's basically a standing ovation.
Final verdict. In the case of the universe versus Michael Jackson, Bucharest 1992, the ruling is as follows. Gravity won the physics. It always does. It always will. The peg held, the force transferred, the center of mass was managed, and not a single law of nature was violated at any point during the performance. Gravity's record remains technically intact. But Michael Jackson won everything else. He built a mechanism to survive the physics. He built a body capable of executing it under pressure. And then he aimed the whole thing directly at the one part of the human brain that still believes, on a cellular level, that some things are simply impossible. And he made 90,000 people feel that impossibility live, in real time, in Romania, in a white suit, with a hat, at night, looking effortless. He didn't cheat gravity. He used gravity as the setup. And he used your brain as the punchline. And it worked in Bucharest. And it worked every time someone has watched the clip since. And let's be honest, it worked on you 6 seconds ago. Case closed. New cases every week. Hit subscribe, because the next defendant showed up last Tuesday, and the physics are even worse. You do not want to miss it.